Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys so much for joining us once again. So we see the Starlink satellites produce wave of UFO sightings in the U.S. There are so many people sending me videos, and they all look pretty much the same for the most part. And, there are these line of, well, I guess if we're going to believe them, it's the Starlink satellites. There's been sightings of these satellites, and again, these are satellites that were put up by Elon Musk. And, from what I've read, there's around 1,200 satellites that have been put into orbit by Mr. Musk and SpaceX, and the plans are for 40,000. Can you imagine if we're getting so many sightings right now of these, and this truly is what we're seeing? What we're going to be getting when there's 40,000 of them up there? I mean, how are we going to know what's what's what with the jumbled mess that's going to be in the sky over our head? Is that part of disclosure, or is that part of disinformation's disclosure? How do you determine what's what? Well, these relatively go in a stable, steady pattern. So you don't really see a variance in the speed. They go at a certain speed, and they stay at that certain speed. And so we've seen reports from Montana and from many other areas of these things going on. And so SpaceX, in case you missed it, launched 60 satellites into orbit in May and another 60 in November 11th as part of the Starlink satellite constellation, meant to increase satellite internet access. But the reflective satellites are also producing bright trains of lights across the sky, stoking UFO fears of alien invasion everywhere. So here you see again, this article is talking about the same thing from Montana. Many sightings of these, and I just wonder what it's going to be like when there's 40,000 up there. Now this is something completely different. So this is definitely not the Starlink satellites. And so there's a lot of video coming in from Guam right now of a big fireball. Some were worried it was North Korea, as North Korea had said they were going to have a Christmas present for us, which, some were worried this was some sort of test. And, to me it looks like a meteorite breaking up. It's not to say it couldn't be a rocket breaking up, but from what I've seen, this looks more like a meteorite coming on in and breaking up. And I'll have all these links for you. This is Guam News, and over here is a different angle as well, and a slightly different angle. This is off of Geoforce, again showing the same event, the same object coming in from Guam, and here again. So we'll have these links for you guys. Now obviously, if that's one of the Starlink satellites, well, it's not doing so well. It's coming back to Earth. Who knows? It could be space junk, or it could be an asteroid that has entered our atmosphere and become a meteorite. So Fireball over Portsmouth was part of a aborted space mission. There's a lot of stuff we're seeing in the skies, and we've talked about disclosure ongoing. You have the vice president of the New Hampshire Astronomical Society saying that the fireball reported to Portsmouth police on Friday was actually a booster for a spacecraft that had to abort its mission. There's now a lot of private companies, or several private companies, that are putting things up into space as well as official sources. And so the U.S. Coast Guard had reports from somebody in Wells Harbor, Maine, seeing the same thing as well. And, the skies are just full of things. They're full of drones, too. And speaking of drones, I'm starting to be suspicious of the drive and wonder if this is maybe a tool of the MIC. The big and bizarre drone mystery is unfolding in rural Colorado. Large groups of drones are flying grid pattern routes over the region at night at about the exact same time, and nobody knows who they belong to or what they're doing. At least that's the official explanation. So, who are sending these out every night between 7 and 10 p.m.? 17 drones, 6-foot spans, flying grid patterns over Phillips County and near its border with neighboring Yuma County. Is this a joke? Is this some group of kids doing this? I don't know. Or is this actually something that the Air Force is doing, or the SSP, the Secret Space Program, doing? Who's actually doing this? So supposedly, local law enforcement, the FAA, the DEA, the U.S. Army, and the Air Force say they got no idea who is flying these or who they belong to. Well, if that's the case, then not doing a very good job, are they? When you think about it, with all the high tech that we have and all the money that's spent on the military, if somebody's flying drones every single night between 7 and 10 p.m., in a grid pattern and nobody knows why, then basically my question is, well, what good are you guys? It makes me suspicious. I don't know. Interesting thought. Now, George Norrie is glad the other media are finally covering the UFO issue. We talked about Art Bell, and I was a huge Coast to Coast fan, love Coast to Coast. I would actually set the alarm and get up at 1 a.m. sometimes and listen to it for a few hours, go back to sleep before getting up and going to work. And George took over for Art Bell when Art passed on. So he's glad that other media are finally covering the UFO issue because it's a real issue. And it's been there as long as we've been here. If we look at it seriously, there's evidence of visitation. Going back thousands of years. It's on cave paintings. It's something in our mythology and our history. It's pretty obvious. It's always been here. And yeah, it's good that things are finally getting covered by the mainstream. And then George St. Pierre, no, he's not coming out of retirement. One of my favorite MMA fighters of all time. He actually believes in aliens. So, George is a really intelligent guy as well. But he has a crazy plan to avoid alien abduction, and he's really paranoid about it, which to me tells me he's probably somebody that's getting abducted. It's probably something that's deeply in his psyche going back to childhood, and he probably doesn't realize it outright. But there's a reason why you have a fear, and especially a guy that could kick 99% of the population's ass at any time. This is probably something that's deep-seated. He probably is an abductee and probably has been. And some believe that not all abductees are taken by extraterrestrials or interdimensionals. Sometimes there's other groups that might do that, and I'll let you guys conclude on that, but some are also. So UFC legend George St. Pierre fears being abducted by aliens and having his memory wiped, his trainer said. Firas Zahabi said on Joe Rogan's podcast that a star pupil feared being abducted by aliens and took action by putting a foam roller by the door. He's such a nutcase, George is, the trainer said of the 38-year-old St. Pierre who has battled anxiety. He's crazy. He's always telling me, so many crazy characters in MMA, you're the craziest one of all. Oh no. So Zahabi recalled, I share a hotel room with him many times. He puts a foam roller up against the door like this. I move it. I put it away. No, bro, leave it there. For what? In case the aliens get us. He'll know the next day because the foam roller was moved. So Rogan asked, doesn't he think the aliens can come right through the walls? How are they taking him out? Taking him out through the hallway holding his hand? Zahabi said because they wipe his memory after. But he'll know because they don't know he put the foam roller there. So when they move it, it's a cue for him to remember. And St. Pierre only lost twice in his 28 career fights before retiring in November of 2017. But I would say that he has memories of being abducted, true memories of being abducted, and that's probably why he acts the way he is, because that experience can most definitely change you and make you a little paranoid. So my friends, as always, thank you for your support over on Patreon. Please do go ahead and join us over there. There's some videos that don't go up on the main channel over here on YouTube. And also, you could help us with Ko-Fi as well with a one-time donation. We appreciate your support in these times of censorship. And make sure to subscribe to our second channel, EE Arts. Again, these are different videos as well. As always, my friends, I look forward to your comments. Like, share, subscribe. God bless and namaste.